Rev up your engines!
Steve Brannard from Atlanta, Georgia. What about buying a BMW X5? Is it a good move? Only if you live in an alternative universe. The BMW X5 was one of the highest repair cars in the world. There are endless money pits as they age. And the stinker about that is, okay, you say, okay, I'll buy a new one then. Then I don't have to worry about it until it breaks down. Well, they still break down when they get to be 5 to 8 years old anyways. But they lose so much value that if you really want a BMW X5, you better to lease a new one for a couple of years and then get rid of it, and you lose the lease payment. But that's a lot less than it will depreciate in those years of ownership. They are one of the worst cars in the world when it comes to endless money pits. When I used to do a TV gig, one of the anchors there, and those anchors made, you know, $300-400 grand a year for talking on TV. He had one, he got rid of it in a year. He said, oh God, it was a money pit. I didn't want that thing anymore. And he made that kind of money, and he didn't like it. Andres Palacio says, Scotty, what's your opinion on a Ford Escape 05 to 08? And why does a Pontiac Vibe cost less than a Toyota Matrix? With a Pontiac Vibe, you say 5. Okay, we'll start with the Pontiac. They cost less because they were Pontiacs. Now, most of the vehicle was a Toyota Matrix, engine, transmission, brakes, and all that stuff, but a lot of the body parts were made by Pontiac. Its value is less. It's just the way that it goes. It could be a very good buy because it's got a Toyota engine, transmission, and brakes. So if you don't mind the slightly uglier Pontiac body style on it, go ahead and get one. Yeah, they can be good cars. Now, Ford Escapes, I've had customers that had Ford Escapes and love them. They can last quite some time. You can get a used one cheaply enough. If you're thinking about buying a used one, though, pay a mechanic like me to check it out first. And the main thing is, have them check out that transmission, because that's the weakest thing. If the transmission's off a little, you wouldn't buy it. But if an older person drove it or the person didn't beat the car much, they can last a long time. I got a lady who driver once got 240,000 miles, original engine and tranny. But I've seen kids burn them out faster, so you want to have that checked out if you're going to buy one. Lily says, Scotty, what do you think about safety between a big SUV truck frame and cars? I've seen car crash. Usually the cars are hurt badly. Should I get a bigger SUV? Of course, it's pure physics and logic. The bigger vehicle you are in, the safer you're going to be in a wreck. When things get in a wreck, all the energy, kinetic energy of that speeding vehicle has to be dissipated somehow. If you're in a big vehicle and you run into something, your energy is going to be dissipated by crushing the smaller vehicle, and it's going to push it around. If you're in a small vehicle, you're going to get crushed more. Now, look at a Formula One race car. They're tiny, but those guys can fly through the air and they come apart, but they're in the safety capsule, and so they can survive it. Cars aren't that way. So, of course, you are safer in a bigger SUV. That's just common sense. That's the way that they are. And the modern ones have all airbags. So, I mean, if you're really worried, you're better off with a bigger vehicle than a smaller one. That's just the way that it goes. The smaller ones are safer than they used to because they have all crumple zones. But you're going to be safer in a bigger vehicle with a crumple zone than a smaller one. Mr. Rodriguez says, Scotty, 2015 Mustang Ecoboost, reliability, 27,000 miles. Is it a money pit? Well, you know, it depends if somebody took care of it or not. The problem with Ecoboost is it's got GDI injectors. It has turbochargers on it. Put more stress on the engine. So you have to change the oil religiously and use good high-quality gasoline. If that was done, it can be a reliable vehicle. But it's not a vehicle that you're going to abuse and think, well, I don't have to change the oil much. On a vehicle like that, I'd change the oil and filter every 5,000 miles. I'd use full synthetic oil. And I would buy high-test gas because they run better with high-test gas with those turbochargers on them. You can't just run the cheapest gas, the cheapest oil, and expect them to be reliable. You do have to take more care of those things than you do of a regular one. Hayden 115 says, Scotty, how tall are you? Well, that's an interesting story because I used to be taller. I'm getting old and I have shrunk. I used to be 5'11 and a half, and now I'm like 5'10 and a half. And part of it was when I was younger, I had a BSA Lightning that was chopped, and it had no shock absorbers on the back, just bolt-on struts. So every time you hit a bump, it compressed your backbone. And I was going to school in Canada at the time in Toronto, and one of my friends was doing this research on Eskimos, and it turns out these Eskimos had all shrunk 1.5 to 2 inches when they started to get snowmobiles, because snowmobiles don't have much of a suspension system, and they're riding them on the ice pack, bang, 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 and it shrunk them and compressed their vertebrae. So that happened to me too. So that's a warning to people. You really want shock absorbers on your vehicles, or all that banging over time, especially if you drive fast, is going to make you shrink somewhat. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.